Brother Jean Mankoka is one of many of Jehovah's Witnesses in Angola who faced cruel persecution because of their faith. And during the decades of the 1940s until the 1970s, Brother Mankoka endured prison, penal colonies, and much torture, as well as separation from his family. Despite this, he never stopped strengthening himself and others. My father, Adao Agostinho, was arrested in the early 1970s. And in prison, who did he find? Brother Mankoka and other brothers who also had faced cruel persecution for a long time. Brother Mankoka was a mentor to my father, so every night he would go by Brother Mankoka's bed and ask him many questions about the Bible. In his memoirs, my father wrote something very interesting. He was very patient with me. I took with me a wealth of knowledge that helped me in the trials that followed. Today, I cannot imagine what my life would be like without this inheritance that was passed down by those loyal brothers.
My father, Sylvester Simao, and brother João Mankoka served together on the Angola branch committee, but that was not where they met. When my father attended his first meeting as a Bible student, Brother Mankoka was conducting the Watchtower study. Suddenly, the meeting place was raided, and Brother Mankoka became concerned because a good number of those in attendance were Bible students, including my father. Brother Mankoka asked that they release the students, but that did not happen. They beat them up. They beat them up brutally, all the men that were there. In fact, my dad said he thought that he was going to die on that day because the beating was so brutal and he lost a lot of blood. In the face of this situation, Brother Mankoka was concerned. He said a sincere prayer for Jehovah to protect his sheep, and that was what happened. Jehovah protected them. My dad could see that Brother Mankoka was more concerned with them than he was with himself. Brother Mankoka also had the opportunity to help others to get to know the truth. And one of them is my uncle, Philip Cunha. He was in that jail as a political prisoner, and he learned the truth there. And as a result, 4 generations of our family today are Jehovah's Witnesses.
The situation of Brother Mankoka and other brothers who faced persecution here in Angola proves that with Jehovah's help, we can face persecution. When a person does not have patience, he cannot persevere because he's looking at the time when the trial will end. On the other hand, patience helped the brothers to deal with trials, focusing on what they could do and on Jehovah's help.
It wouldn't be a convention without this sort of video, would it? So we've just been watching a video segment from the Friday afternoon session of the Exercise Patience Convention, part of the symposium, Imitate Those Who Inherit the Promises Through Patience. And this video gets shown in the final item in the symposium, which is discussing Paul. And you can see the general gist of the talk is to talk about persecution and the fact that Jehovah's Witnesses are being persecuted. This is a common trope that gets brought in every convention program, really, at some point, where Jehovah's Witnesses are reminded of the persecution they're either experiencing now or can expect to experience in the future or have experienced in the past. And to be clear, I am firmly against Jehovah's Witnesses, or frankly any religious group or religious minority, being persecuted for what's going on in their heads. I think it's appalling and thuggish for governments to round people up and, in this case, beat people just because of an ideological difference. You do not police what's going on in someone's head. That said, I cannot help but find material such as this exploitative and frankly intended as propaganda. And it also is a little bit two-faced because, for example, we heard the following.
Brother Menkoka endured prison, penal colonies, and much torture, as well as separation from his family.
Separation from his family. That's what Brother Menkoka had to deal with. Stings a little bit, that, doesn't it? If you're on the receiving end of shunning as someone who was perhaps raised in the Jehovah's Witness group or joined the Jehovah's Witness group at any point and later decided that you no longer believed, or if you found yourself transgressing one of the many, many things that Jehovah's Witnesses have decided are sinful, whether it's smoking cigarettes, taking up professional boxing, having consenting sex with another adult, or, I don't know, accepting a life-saving blood transfusion. These are all things that can lead to shunning, separation from your family. It seems it's wrong to separate someone from their loved ones, from their family, if it's in the context of Jehovah's Witnesses being persecuted. But it's totally acceptable, apparently, for Jehovah's Witnesses to do this to others, or to do this to essentially their own followers, or followers who stray in any form. And then later on, you get this odd part of the story where we hear the following.
In the face of this situation, Brother Menkoka was concerned. He said a sincere prayer for Jehovah to protect his sheep. And that was what happened. Jehovah protected them.
Jehovah protected them. So Brother Menkoka, all he had to do was say a prayer when his fellow witnesses were being brutally beaten. Their meeting was interrupted. The police showed up, or whoever, soldiers, and just started beating the crap out of people. And he was rightly concerned, Brother Menkoka, but who knew he had this special power where all he needed to do was say a prayer to Jehovah and it stopped? This raises way more questions for me, because you then have to ask the question, what about Jehovah's Witnesses who've been persecuted in the past, who have died? And in the context of Africa, you know where I'm going with this. All we need to do is look to Malawi, and I've done a video on the betrayal that happened in Malawi. Thumbnail here if Tibor is gracious. What about all of the Jehovah's Witness men and women? I'm thinking particularly women and the way they were treated and the sexual violence that was carried out towards them. Where was Jehovah then? Was it simply a case of Brother Menkoka not being around to say a prayer for them?